Here's one of the biggest mistakes I've seen in ecom that cost one of our clients over $100,000. I'm going to explain it to you so you don't make the same mistake. So first of all, we had a client in the fitness space and they wanted to test something out. And by the way, I got their permission to share this. And they were in the fitness space and they wanted to launch a brand new product. Now, they didn't have a working store, they didn't have anything going on, they didn't have an established brand, but they had a big budget to spend, they had investors and so on. So what they did was they bought a lot of product. So they wanted to sell this new product, try it out. They bought probably 20 grand worth of product. They paid an agency to build their website, their landing pages and so on. They paid us as an email marketing agency or retention agency to do the work for them. And then they also got a paid ads agency. So they had pretty much everything, paying retainers to everyone and so on. And so what they were doing was they were launching a brand new product. They were going to sell loads of it, about 40-50% margin. Things were looking great. However, the thing that we saw didn't work out very well was that they hadn't tested the product. And this is one of the absolute basics of ecom, is if you're going to launch a new product, you should be looking to test it. And when I was in my software days, we used to call this an MVP, which is a minimum viable product, which is do the minimum work to test a product to make sure it works and don't invest too much time into it. And you can probably see where this is heading. So we started trying to test the product. No one was buying it. Okay, so I'm not a conversion rate optimization expert myself, but what we saw was that people were going to the website. There wasn't an already an existing audience. People were going to the website, they weren't buying. They were going over and over again, they just weren't buying. We're spending thousands on traffic. They were getting the Facebook ads going, they had Google ads going, pretty much everything, no conversions. And maybe they had one conversion a month selling, I don't know, $200. It was about $200 per item. And what ended up happening was that we kept running ads over and over again, just no one was interested in the product. And so the biggest mistake we were seeing was that the more money they were sinking into this product, the more money they were sinking into stock, warehouses to hold the product. All these other things could have been easily avoided by testing a very, very, very small sample size. And the reality is, when you're dealing with ecom, even if you are putting a landing page together, and I've ran my own stores, if you're putting a landing page together or you're just testing out a product, you should do exactly that, is test it out. Do not make the mistake of launching a product without having a single person offering you their credit card in exchange for that product. You can't be doing that, because there's obviously a big cost involved in running ads, testing, email marketing, all that stuff. There are big costs involved in everything. But what you should really have done, or at least what this client should have done in my opinion, would have been buy a very small, buy 5 of the item instead of buying hundreds. Put a very quick landing page together. It doesn't have to look great. It could be almost anything. Find a template. Just use one of the default Shopify templates. Put a landing page together. Start running their own ads. Do not hire 2 or 3 different agencies to do all this shit. It's just not needed. Run some basic ads. Right now we're talking about a cost of let's say $500, $600 in what I'm just saying here, and you can actually do it for cheaper if you want. You fire the product out. You don't need to develop a new product. Maybe you can even try and sell someone else's product, or even just sell the idea and then refund people and say, hey, we actually just ran out of stock. We'll keep your name on our list and then we'll send you the product later on or for free or whatever. But what ends up happening a lot of the time, and I think this is the biggest mistake that anyone makes when it comes to ecom, is that people are testing out theories, assuming that they're realities. Okay, so one of the things I learned from a course, I spent a lot of money. I spent about 10 grand on this ecom course. It's called Beyond Six Figures. It's really great. The founder's Justin. He does some really great stuff. You can look him up if you want. And so one of the things that we learned there was that you need to test. And the only person in this universe that can say that your Shopify store or ecom store is performing well is your exact target customer. Not you, not your friends that say your product looks great, not your family that support you no matter what. The only person that can say it is your customer. They looked at the product, they thought it was good enough to get their credit card out, put the numbers in, and buy it from you. That's the only person you can really trust with any product launch, with anything that you do. Now, if you have strong data to back up what you're saying, it makes sense. But if you don't, then, and even when you have strong data, you could be trying to launch a similar product and it just fails miserably. Whereas you've got a winner that, and we've seen that time and time again, we have stores that are selling a ton of, they're selling maybe 30, 40 grand of a product a month, but they launch a similar product and it just doesn't take off. So this is probably one of the biggest lessons I've learned, and I take this into everything I do. You have assumptions and then you have the reality, and so often your assumptions are worthless. They're absolutely worth nothing. And even the most intelligent people in ecom have told me, test. The only person that can decide is the buyer, not you. No one else can do it. And so the really difficult lesson this client figured out, and we've actually turned things around for them. We got things to work in the end, but they lost so much money. They lost over 100 grand doing this. They're not positive. They're not ROI positive on this whole job. And so the thing to realize is most of the time you can test things with a very, very small fraction of the amount of money that you've already spent, and go from there. So anyone looking to get into ecom, I've run my own stores and I manage over 20 different recurring stores at the moment on a monthly basis because we run our retention agency. So I can see all these stores. I see exactly how they're doing. I have access to their Shopify's, their Klaviyo accounts, and so I know what's working, what's not working. And so anyone that's looking to start ecom, test. Just test. If you think something's going to work, test it. I ran 4 or 5 stores myself before my first store started taking off, doing 20 grand a month. And I just failed. I spent money on stock. I spent money on lots of different things that were absolutely pointless. I paid agencies when I didn't have a need for it. And so that's the lesson in all of this. Do not assume that something's going to work massively unless you have really, really strong evidence that it's going to work. So this is just my advice for anyone either starting in ecom or with some level of experience in ecom, and you're looking to do things. Test things first, then get others involved, because it's like trying out something like, I don't know, it's like building a website that no one goes to and no one wants to use, but you keep sinking money and spending lots of money on it trying to make it work, and it's a sunk cost fallacy essentially. You just keep putting more time and energy into it and keeps just blowing all your money away on something that isn't working. So test, and once it works, then you go and you double down on everything. Then you get the agencies involved, then you increase your ad spend, everything, but you have to test first. Don't just spend money because you have it. There's no need for that.